Let's start with San Francisco. That was the love of your life when you were a kid. 49ers had some big disappointment yesterday. They went through four quarterbacks this season, and none of them could make it on the field and throw a pass. They all got injured, and it was kind of sad because they just kind of had to play out the string there and couldn't really compete. And Brock Purdy got injured on the first series, came back at the end of the game or late in the game when the game was decided, couldn't throw a pass. Yeah, because Johnson got hurt. Very sad.
Yeah, it's a fragile sport. Injuries play a role too, and when they happen to the quarterback, I think it's really relevant. Obviously people can see the quarterback out there, but it happens in other positions too. If you lose your best pass rusher in a game, that of course affects the outcome of the game. You lose your left tackle in a game, of course that affects pass protection. Obviously with a quarterback, that one's easy because we focus on the quarterback so much, but injuries play a role in every game, and they, your margin of error changes quite a bit. Obviously San Fran had, really no chance to compete yesterday. That was tough just to, see that happen. And at the same time, it's the reality of the sport. So Philly deserved it. They had an incredible season. They played well on defense. They forced, that pass and the injury to Brock there on his wrist or his elbow. It's truly part of the sport. It's contact sport, and that's why it's a demolition derby, and that's why, all these games are somewhat unpredictable. You go to the Super Bowl, Patrick's had a sprained ankle, Jalen's had a hurt shoulder. Anything can happen in the first quarter of the game, and of course it's going to affect the outcome. So, yesterday was just, if you're relegated to handing the ball off down 28 points or whatever it was there in the fourth quarter, there's no chance of coming back at that point.
So everybody today, Tom, will say it doesn't come down to one play. And certainly in the Eagles game, it doesn't come down to one play, but it sets the tone. Plays can set tones, whether we see it at the end of a game where the play really is decided, when you see a roughing call on sportsmanlike conduct on Patrick Mahomes. And you also see it with Smith. Smith did not catch that ball. Yeah. Okay. So there's human error involved. The officials on the field rule it good. Yeah. They're scrambling. And now we have the eye in the sky, and in the NFL in New York supposed to make that determination. They don't make the determination. They see all the cameras, but they don't. So now the coach has to make a guess. Do I spend a challenge? Do I not spend a challenge? He doesn't do it. Turns out if he would have won. Yeah. This whole thing of these split-second officiating calls affect people's lives, and they affect the outcomes of games. Yeah. You're asking a man to stop pursuing somebody at a boundary because he steps out 8 inches and then he pushes him, and that's the difference in the game. Yeah. I'm not saying it's the official's fault. Yeah. I'm just saying the way that the games are, these officials are put in positions where they make these split-second decisions that aren't always right, or that they do affect outcomes of game. Yeah. As a player, having been on both sides of this, the wins and the loss, Eli Manning could have been called in the grasp all those years ago by the officiating crew, but he wasn't. He escapes, and David Tyree catches it on the side of his helmet. Yeah. So you've had the thrill of victory and the agony of defeat. Yeah. When you're going through it with those things that I just explained from yesterday, can you give us how each side is handling this today?
Yeah, and it's look, when you're on the wrong side of it, obviously it's tough to swallow, and there's a lot of reasons to be angry or emotional. When you're on the right side of it, you discount it. No, look, we get plenty where we don't go our way either. I think that look, everyone wants the refs to make great calls all the time. Everyone wants me to complete every pass. It's not the reality. There was a time in sports where there wasn't instant replay all the time. In tennis, there were line judges, and they called things out, and sometimes they were in, and John McEnroe would scream at the umpire. That's what he would do. And now they have the technology they've used, and, for the Wimbledon, every literally, to the centimeter, they can determine whether balls are in or out. So, as we go in sports, part of it is we can try to eliminate some of those determinations. But if you look at holding in the NFL, there is holding on every single play. Now, look, are you allowed to hold? No, you're not. It's against the rules. Is there holding by the offensive line and defensive line on every play? Yes. When are they going to call it?
And in
So
Cincinnati, they're screaming today about Orlando Brown on that same play.
yeah, of
Holding.
course. Yeah,
Yes.
and there's always holding, and it's just the way sports are. It's just another thing for us to get emotional about. And the refs got a tough job. What are they going to get every call right? I mean, is anyone 100% in their job? And it's a hard job to do. They're making decisions in in the millisecond. This is what I believe. It could clear. They started with what was the rule? I forgot exactly, but there was three terms they used. It was clear, it was obvious, and it went for a period
Indisputable.
of time. Yeah, clear, obvious, and indisputable, but and prolonged. And I think that in the end of the day, that would be my barometer for throwing flags. That would be my barometer for taunting. Was it clear? Was it obvious? And was it prolonged? If it meets those criteria, penalty. Holding, defensive illegal contact, offensive pass interference. It could be clear, but it could be quick, and it doesn't really affect the play that much. Or it's almost like with their personality type. Some people go in and it's not the same ref all the time, and that's okay. Look, they're humans. We're all different. Some refs call the game tight, some call